Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
A reminder that all of our guests today on Donnie and Dolly, the team on check, brought to you by our friends from beautiful Campbell River Quinsam Communications Group. They also sponsor Is It Just Me? Did I mention this about from Creed in East Van? He's wondering if Henry Thrun is going to be the player you're going to be when playing road hockey these days.
He's a good kid, Henry Thrun, I'll tell you.
Harvard, smart guy.
Smart guy.
Okay, so it's the Canucks and Flyers tomorrow at Rogers Arena. Flyers losing a second straight game to the Kraken of Seattle last night by a score of 6-2. And this is very impressive. Obviously, Jordan Hall does not watch our show, because if he did, he'd know he doesn't have to wear a tie to get on this show. From NBC Sports Philadelphia, he covers the Flyers. Jordan Hall, thanks for the tie, Jordan. You didn't have to do that. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? I wanted to dress for the occasion, so thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Hey, Jordan, did you expect more from this Flyers team this season?
No, I'm actually getting a little bit more than what I expected.
Okay.
They lost 57 games last season. Real transition year for them under John Tortorella, first-year head coach. And they don't have Cam Atkinson or Sean Couturier. So I actually thought with those two players actually healthy, they'd be maybe around this spot. Without those two players, I'm actually surprised they're only 2 games under Hockey 500. They lost 10 games earlier in the year, and they found a way to at least somewhat be competitive. And so I'm actually surprised they've made this much progress. And a lot of that goes to John Tortorella. He's done an excellent job in getting them to play hard, play structured, and play in front of their goalie, Carter Hart, who is very good.
I didn't set that up all that well. Jordan Hall joins us from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Flyers 8 points out of a playoff spot, 14th spot in the Eastern Conference. So we're very familiar with Torts here in Vancouver. Jordan, what's he been like to deal with for you?
Always entertaining, never a dull day. He gives you really great stuff, but sometimes you got to go day by day because you're not exactly sure the John Tortorella you're going to get. But he's very good for this city. I think the fan base has certainly enjoyed his hard-nosed style, a guy that's going to challenge players, a guy that's going to ask for more. And the Flyers need to give more. They had a terrible season last year. They've missed the playoffs now in consecutive years for the first time since the early 90s. So the fan base is frustrated, and I think they want to learn more about this team and what players they have and what guys don't fit. And John Tortorella is certainly, I think, trying to figure out which guys are going to be a part of this moving forward and which guys just aren't going to cut it. So he's done a very good job here. He's implemented a lot of structure. He's definitely a no BS kind of guy, and Philly has certainly wrapped its arms around that. And every day he is entertaining. I think that's what the fans have enjoyed.
Jordan, John Tortorella, the Flyers did something that Canuck fans have been waiting for since the Rangers did it a few years back. But he came up with a building for the future letter to season ticket holders. How did that go over?
I think it went over pretty well. I think it was a time where the Flyers really needed to connect with their fans and make sure they're buying in. A lot of fans have lost a lot of hope. The fan base is frustrated. Attendance really dipped last year. The fans are not used to not seeing teams in the playoffs. And this is a transition year. And no one is expecting them to make the playoffs. So I thought that was an important time for John Tortorella, who is very much the face now of the organization, to be honest with the fans, be transparent, let them know that we are not there yet. We have a long way to go, but I see signs and we're going to get there. So the Flyers are definitely in a real fight to win over fans. That's putting it bluntly, is that they need to get fans back on board, and John Tortorella is the voice, the guy that they're going to funnel that message through. So that was a time for them to be as honest as possible with the fan base, and they wanted to do it through John Tortorella. So I think overall it was received well, but I think they still have a long, long way to go in getting fans to be back on board and wanting to come to games again.
Hey, Jordan, I was going to ask you about that. Since the Stanley Cup final in 2010, there hasn't been a lot of success in Philly. And Philly's one of the best hockey markets in all of the USA. How patient are the fans there? Because, Philly fans better than anyone else. They can get pretty pissed off real quick.
They can. They've lost patience. They absolutely have. They've won one playoff series since 2012. It came in 2019-20 with Alain Vigneault, his first year, and Chuck Fletcher, the general manager, his first year. Since then, it's been downhill. And now they're going through a pretty big transition phase. No Claude Giroux here anymore. No Jacob Voracek. Wayne Simmons is gone. So they're trying to develop a new identity, a new core here, and fans are asked to be patient again. And I think patience has definitely run thin, but I think fans are starting to come around to understanding that it could take some time, and that with a guy like John Tortorella, they want to build it right. And he's been honest about not skipping steps and that it could take a few years. But the one good thing I think the Flyers have done is they've implemented a lot of young talent here. They're giving a lot of guys 25 years old or younger chances to play big roles, everyday roles. So they're really figuring out which prospects are going to stick here and which aren't. And I think that's been one good thing, is seeing youth here, letting John Tortorella develop it. And that's really the big picture here, is playing young players and building it from the ground up. John Tortorella not long ago said this needs to be built from the footers. And I think that started to resonate with the fans that, okay, we're going to be patient here, but this is a guy we can trust because he's built some teams.
In 2021, you guys picked up Zach McEwen from Vancouver. I've seen the highlights. I watch his fights. He's got to be a Philly guy. Did the fans love him there?
They really quickly embraced Zach McEwen. He had a couple fights where not only were they big heavyweight fights, but he played to the crowd. He fired them up. He flicked his hair back. He wanted more noise. As you know, Flyers fans, especially with the coach Rick Tocchet now in Vancouver, he was a guy that played to Philly style. He scored goals and he fought, which is pretty much the dream player for the old school fans here in Philly. Zach McEwen is very much kind of like that guy. He's not exactly the most offensive, but he will fight. He'll stick up for teammates, and he's been well liked here. It's unfortunate he fractured his jaw actually in a fight, and he's out right now for about a month plus. But fans have appreciated the way he plays, and I think so has management. It's a guy that will stick up for people, and he will forecheck. He will do all the little things.
Hey, Jeremy, before we let you go, it's been 1 month, I think exactly today, that Ivan Provorov decided not to wear a Pride jersey in warm-up for the Flyers. Are the Flyers still dealing with the fallout from that? And how did it go over in Philadelphia?
It was a very big story because the Flyers have done a ton with their Pride initiative, and two players have been major ambassadors of it, Scott Lawton and James Van Riemsdyk. So it took everyone by surprise. No one knew that Ivan Provorov was going to make this decision, other than about John Tortorella and Chuck Fletcher, who probably were made aware about a couple of days before it was happening. But it took fans by surprise. It took some players by surprise. But they're moving forward the best way they can possible, and that's respecting Ivan Provorov's decision, respecting his Russian Orthodox religion, and also Ivan Provorov respecting the players that wanted to support the Pride initiative and fans that are very Pride-oriented and have really come to grow to like the Flyers because of how open they've been about Pride Night and the Pride initiatives around the community. So far, it's been settled a little bit. There hasn't been any real rifts in the locker room that I've heard of. They're moving forward the best way they can. I think they're really taking the approach of hockey locker rooms bring people from different parts of the world all together, and they're going to try to continue that bond of understanding where people come from and that everyone's not the same, and that's how they're moving forward with it.
Yeah. Jordan, thanks so much for this. I'm telling you right now, there's all sorts of Flyers fans in Vancouver. You're going to see tons of orange and black at Rogers Arena tomorrow. It goes way back to the 70s and the glory days. But thanks so much. Love the tie. We'll get you back on the show soon.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Jordan Hall, good job.